The room is filled with black flowers and quiet whispers, but something about this funeral feels wrong from the very first second. The husband stands near the front, dressed in mourning black, his face calm, almost relieved. Beside him is another woman, also in black, her hand brushing his arm in a way that no grieving friend ever would. To everyone else, they look like two broken people honoring a life lost. But behind their lowered eyes and practiced sighs, there is a secret celebration hiding in plain sight. Only days ago, his wife was rushed to the hospital after a sudden collapse. Doctors spoke in urgent tones, machines beeped through the night, and then came the words no family ever wants to hear. She didn't make it. Or at least that's what everyone was told. The paperwork was signed, condolences poured in, and the story of a tragic death spread quickly. A loyal wife gone too soon. A husband left to mourn. The end of a sad chapter. But grief can be fake and love can be a lie. Behind closed doors, the husband and his mistress believed their long wait was finally over. No more hiding text messages. No more secret meetings. No more living in the shadows of a marriage they both wanted gone. Wearing black felt like a performance, a final act before a new life could begin. Their whispers were soft, their smiles carefully hidden, but inside they felt free. What they didn't expect was that the past was not finished with them yet. Across town, in a quiet hospital room, a doctor stands frozen, staring at a chart that doesn't make sense. The heartbeat he hears is steady. The breathing is real. The woman everyone believes is dead is very much alive. Weak, unconscious, but alive. A mistake, a cover-up, or something far darker. The doctor knows one thing for sure. Someone wanted this woman gone, and the truth has been buried too quickly. As the funeral reaches its final moments, a black car pulls up outside. No one notices at first. Tears fall. Prayers are spoken. Then a phone vibrates in the doctor's pocket. He looks at the screen, takes a deep breath, and makes a decision that will change everything. The truth can't stay hidden anymore. Inside the hall, the husband feels a strange chill run through him, like someone just walked over his grave. The mistress tightens her grip on his arm, uneasy for reasons she can't explain. Somewhere between guilt and fear, they sense it. The story they thought was over is only beginning. Because when the doctor steps forward and speaks the words no one is ready to hear, the celebration will turn into panic. And the woman they betrayed is about to come back from the dead. The doctor doesn't rush inside the funeral hall. Not yet. He stays by the car, the cold air biting at his face as memories replay in his mind. He remembers the night she was brought in, pale and barely breathing, her body showing signs of extreme stress. The paperwork that followed never sat right with him. Too fast. Too clean. A case closed before the ink had even dried. Back then he had trusted the system. Now, listening to her faint heartbeat hours ago, he knows that trust may have been misplaced. Inside the hall, the husband keeps his eyes on the coffin, but his thoughts are far from his so-called late wife. He remembers the arguments, the quiet resentment that built over years. She had started asking questions, noticing changes in his behavior, his late nights, his guarded phone. The mistress had promised him freedom, promised that once his wife was gone, everything would finally make sense. He believed her because believing was easier than facing his own guilt. The mistress, on the other hand, feels the weight of the room pressing down on her chest. She had rehearsed this day in her mind, imagined standing beside him openly, imagined relief. Yet every whispered prayer and every look of sympathy makes her skin crawl. She remembers visiting the hospital once, pretending to be a concerned colleague, watching the wife lie still in that bed. There had been a moment, just one, where she thought she saw the woman's fingers move. She told herself it was nothing. She needed it to be nothing. At the hospital, the woman lies surrounded by quiet machines, unaware of the storm waiting outside. Her breathing is shallow, her mind trapped somewhere between darkness and memory. Faces come and go in fragments, voices echo. She feels a deep ache, not just in her body but in her heart. Even unconscious, Something inside her senses betrayal. The key words of her life, love, trust, family, now feel broken, scattered like pieces of glass. Back at the funeral, murmurs ripple through the crowd as the service stretches on longer than planned. A distant siren passes by, unnoticed by most, but the sound makes the husband's jaw tighten. He checks his phone, then slips it back into his pocket, forcing a calm expression. The mistress leans closer, whispering that everything is fine, that soon they can leave all of this behind. Her voice shakes slightly, though she tries to hide it. Outside, the doctor finally moves. Each step toward the entrance feels heavier than the last. He knows revealing the truth will put him at the center of a dangerous story involving deception, greed, and a woman who was almost erased. But silence would make him complicit. He straightens his coat, his decision firm, even as doubt flickers in his eyes. As he reaches for the door, the husband inside feels that chill again, stronger this time. He doesn't know why, but a sudden fear grips him, the kind that comes when lies are about to be exposed. The mistress feels it too, her celebration turning into dread. And somewhere, deep in the hospital room, the woman's eyes begin to flutter, as if she's slowly waking up to a world that thought she was already gone. The door to the funeral hall opens just a little, letting in a thin line of cold air. A few people near the back turn their heads, annoyed by the interruption, then look away again. The doctor pauses there, watching the room like an outsider stepping into a carefully staged lie. He sees the husband standing tall, accepting sympathy with practiced nods. He sees the woman beside him, close enough to pass as family, her eyes red but dry. To anyone else it looks like grief. To him it looks rehearsed. The husband feels eyes on him and glances toward the back. For a split second, his gaze meets the doctor's. Something twists in his stomach. He doesn't recognize the man, yet a sense of danger crawls up his spine. He tells himself it's nerves, nothing more. Funerals do strange things to people. Still, his heart beats faster, and he suddenly wishes this day would end. The mistress notices the change in him. She follows his gaze, her breath catching when she sees the unfamiliar figure near the door. Her mind races. Doctors mean hospitals, and hospitals mean questions. She remembers the call that night, the rushed voices, the certainty that it was over. She had trusted that certainty because she needed to. Now, doubt slips in like a crack in glass, spreading quietly. Across town, a nurse adjusts a monitor and frowns. The woman in the hospital bed is showing small signs of response now. Slight movement, change in breathing. The nurse makes a note, unaware that this patient's survival could unravel lives. The woman's mind drifts between memories. Her husband's smile when they first met, the way it changed over time, the cold distance that replaced warmth. Somewhere deep inside, anger mixes with confusion, though she cannot yet open her eyes. At the funeral, whispers grow as people sense something is off. A family friend leans toward another and murmurs that the service feels rushed, almost forced. The husband overhears fragments of conversation and clenches his jaw. He reminds himself that everything is under control. Paperwork is done. The story is set. No one can bring back what's already buried. But lies have a way of resurfacing. The doctor takes another step forward, then stops again. He thinks about the system that failed this woman, about how easy it was for her existence to be signed away. He also thinks about the power of the man standing by the coffin, the kind of boss who influences people without raising his voice. Speaking up could cost him his career. Staying silent could cost someone her life. The mistress feels sweat gather under her collar despite the cold room. She imagines headlines, investigations, eyes turning toward her. She tells herself she's overthinking, but her hand trembles as she tightens her grip on the husband's arm. She leans in and whispers that they should leave soon, that being here too long isn't good for either of them. Before he can respond, a distant sound reaches them both. Not a siren this time, but the echo of hurried footsteps outside the hall. The husband's chest tightens. The feeling of celebration he once had is gone, replaced by a growing fear he can't name. And in the hospital, the woman's fingers curl slightly against the sheets, as if she's holding on to something. Perhaps the truth, waiting for the right moment to be revealed. The footsteps outside grow louder, sharper, no longer easy to ignore. A few guests turn in their seats, their faces showing confusion instead of sorrow now. The husband's pulse pounds in his ears as he tries to focus on the speaker at the front, but the words blur together. Every sound feels amplified, every movement a threat. He tells himself this is just anxiety, that grief can make the mind imagine danger where there is none. The doctor stands just inside the door now, his presence heavier than his quiet steps suggest. He doesn't speak. He watches. He waits for the right moment, knowing that once he opens his mouth, there will be no turning back. His phone vibrates again in his pocket. A message from the hospital. The patient is responding more clearly. Time is running out. The mistress senses the shift in the room before anyone else does. She feels it in the way conversations die down, in the way eyes start to wander toward the back. Her thoughts race through every detail she once ignored. The rushed hospital release. Closed-door meetings. The way the husband never wanted to talk about the final moments. Fear settles deep in her chest, heavy and cold. At the hospital, the woman's breathing steadies. Her eyelids flutter again, longer this time. Sounds begin to take shape. Machines, voices, a distant announcement over the intercom. Confusion washes over her, followed by a sudden memory of pain, of falling, of reaching out and finding no one there. A tear slips from the corner of her eye as her fingers curl tighter into the sheets. Back at the funeral, the service comes to an uneasy pause. The speaker clears his throat, unsure how to continue as the tension thickens. A child in the back whispers a question to his mother, and the sound cuts through the silence like a blade. The husband feels sweat at the back of his neck. He loosens his tie, struggling to breathe normally. The doctor takes one step forward, then another. A murmur ripples through the crowd as people finally notice him moving closer to the front. The husband's eyes widen slightly, recognition still absent, but fear now unmistakable. The mistress feels her knees weaken. She leans heavily against him, no longer pretending this is just grief. Outside, a car door closes. Inside, the air feels thinner, tighter. Someone drops a program, and the soft thud echoes louder than it should. The husband's mind flashes with images of the life he planned to begin once this day was over. The freedom, the control. All of it now feels fragile, like glass about to shatter. At the hospital, the woman's lips part as if she's trying to speak. A nurse leans in, calling her name gently, encouraging her to stay awake. Her eyes open just a fraction, enough to let light flood in. Somewhere deep inside, she knows something is very wrong, that her story has been told without her. The doctor stops near the front row. He looks at the coffin, then at the couple dressed in black. His jaw tightens as he realizes how close the lie is to becoming permanent. He inhales slowly, preparing himself. The husband feels that chill one last time, stronger than ever. He knows now that whatever is about to happen will change everything. The mistress squeezes his hand, her nails digging into his skin. And as the room holds its breath, the truth hovers just seconds away from tearing through the silence. The doctor opens his mouth, but before a single word can escape, a sharp ring cuts through the silence. Not one phone but several. Screens light up across the room as people glance down in confusion. A news alert flashes on multiple devices at the same time. There has been a serious medical error reported at a private hospital. Details are still coming in. The timing feels too precise to be a coincidence. A wave of murmur spreads through the funeral hall. The husband stiffens, his eyes darting from face to face. He pulls out his phone, his fingers suddenly clumsy. The headline is vague, but the words medical investigation and patient declared dead too early burn into his vision. His throat goes dry. He looks at the mistress, searching her face for reassurance, but all he finds is panic reflected back at him. Across town, Alarms beep softly as doctors gather around the woman's bed. Her eyes are open now, unfocused but aware. She tries to speak, her voice barely more than a breath. A nurse leans close, listening carefully, then straightens with a look of shock. The woman whispers a name. Not the doctor's. Not a nurse's. Her husband's. The room falls silent as the weight of that name settles over everyone. Back at the funeral, the doctor's phone vibrates again. This time it's a call. He steps aside, answers quietly, and his expression hardens with every word he hears. When he looks back at the couple in black, there is no hesitation left in his eyes. What he knows now isn't just a mistake. It's a pattern. Records altered. Timelines shifted. Powerful boss who made sure questions were never asked. The mistress feels the floor sway beneath her. She remembers signatures she didn't read, favors she didn't question. She had thought love would protect her. Now she realizes it may be the very thing that traps her. She whispers that they need to leave now, but the exits suddenly feel very far away. A guest near the front stands up, holding a phone with trembling hands. "Is this about her?" He asks no one in particular, his voice breaking the fragile calm. Heads turn toward the coffin, toward the husband, toward the woman at his side. Suspicion creeps into the room, slow and unstoppable. At the hospital, the woman's grip tightens around the nurse's hand. Tears slide down her temples as memory floods back in fragments. A heated argument, a sudden dizziness, the sound of her phone hitting the floor. Her breathing grows uneven as she tries to sit up, driven by a need to be heard, to be seen. The doctor steps forward again, but now he is not alone. A uniformed figure appears at the back of the hall, scanning the room. The husband notices and feels something inside him crack. This was never supposed to go this far. The mistress pulls her hand away from his, her eyes wide with fear. For the first time, she wonders if she was ever more than a pawn. And as the crowd closes in with questions and whispers, the truth edges closer, sharper and more dangerous than anyone imagined, ready to explode into the open. The doctor finally speaks, his voice steady but loud enough to reach every corner of the hall. He says the words slowly, clearly, leaving no room for misunderstanding. The woman in the coffin is not dead. She never was. A mistake was made, then covered up, and now the truth has surfaced. The room erupts into gasps, cries, and disbelief. Some people stand. Others cover their mouths. The idea feels impossible, yet every detail the doctor shares makes the lie crumble further. The husband stumbles back a step, his face draining of color. He tries to speak, to deny it, but no sound comes out. The mistress freezes beside him, her mind racing through every secret she helped bury. Eyes turn toward them now, no longer filled with sympathy, but suspicion and anger. Whispers grow louder, sharper, cutting through the air. That exact moment, another phone rings. This time, the sound feels like a final strike. The doctor answers on speaker without thinking. A nurse's voice fills the hall, trembling with urgency. The patient is fully conscious. She's asking questions. She wants to know why her family thinks she's dead. Silence crashes down like a weight. Before anyone can react, the uniformed officers move forward. They don't grab the husband, not yet, but their presence is enough. The truth has teeth now. The husband's carefully built image as a powerful boss begins to crack under the pressure. He insists this is all a misunderstanding, that he trusted the doctors, that he loved his wife. But his words sound hollow, even to himself. The mistress finally breaks. Tears spill as she admits she knew things weren't right. She speaks about rushed decisions, altered documents, pressure from people higher up. She says she was afraid to ask questions, afraid to lose everything. Her confession sends another wave of shock through the crowd. The celebration they once felt now turns into public shame. At the hospital, the woman sits up with help, her body weak but her eyes clear. She listens as a nurse explains what happened, piece by piece. Her expression shifts from confusion to pain, then to something colder, understanding. Betrayal settles in, heavy and undeniable. The man she trusted stood beside her coffin while she was still breathing. Back at the funeral hall, the coffin is no longer the center of attention. The living are. The husband lowers himself into a chair. His strength gone. The officers ask him to come with them for questioning. As he stands, he looks around, searching for support but finds none. Even the mistress steps back, realizing too late that standing beside him means falling with him. Just when it seems the truth is fully exposed, one final twist emerges. The doctor receives another update. The woman didn't just survive by chance. Someone in the hospital quietly intervened, delaying reports, questioning orders, refusing to let the case close. A junior nurse, overlooked and ignored, followed her instincts and saved a life. The story doesn't end with revenge or celebration. It ends with accountability beginning. As the crowd slowly disperses, shaken and silent, one truth remains clear. A woman declared dead has returned, and the people who tried to erase her will never escape what they've done. And somewhere between the hospital room and the emptying funeral hall, a new chapter begins, one no one saw coming but everyone will remember. The days that follow feel unreal, like the world is slowly correcting a terrible mistake. The funeral hall is emptied, the black flowers removed, and the coffin taken away before it ever reaches the ground. People who once whispered sympathy now whisper disbelief, replaying every moment they missed, every sign they ignored. The story spreads quickly, not as gossip, but as a warning about how easily the truth can be buried when power and silence work together. At the hospital, the woman begins her long recovery. Her body is weak, but her mind grows stronger with each passing day. Doctors explain what happened in careful words, answering questions she never thought she'd have to ask. She listens quietly, absorbing the reality that her life was almost erased. The betrayal hurts more than the illness ever did, but she chooses not to let it break her. Survival, she realizes, is its own kind of strength. The husband's world collapses fast. His reputation as a respected boss fades as investigations unfold. Financial records are examined. Hospital decisions are reviewed. Every favor he once relied on now turns into evidence against him. He sits alone more often than not, forced to face the consequences of choices he thought would stay hidden forever. For the first time, there is no one to protect him from the truth. The mistress fades from the spotlight, her role reduced to statements and remorse. She answers questions, admits her part, and carries a quiet guilt that no punishment can fully erase. The future she imagined dissolves, replaced by a heavy understanding that shortcuts built on lies always come at a cost. The doctor returns to work changed but steady. He doesn't seek praise or attention. He knows he simply did what should have been done from the beginning. The nurse who trusted her instincts is recognized, not as a hero, but as proof that integrity still matters. Sometimes it takes one voice refusing to stay quiet to save a life. When the woman is finally strong enough to stand by a window, she looks out at the city that almost moved on without her. She thinks about trust, about love, and about how fragile life can be. She knows healing won't be quick, and forgiveness may never come easily. But she is alive, and that truth gives her something no one can take away. In the end, the story is not about death or betrayal alone. It's about survival, accountability, and the power of truth. A woman declared gone returned stronger. A lie carefully built fell apart. And those who thought they could celebrate in the dark learned that the truth always finds the light. As the chapter closes, one message remains clear for everyone watching and listening. No matter how powerful someone seems, no matter how deep a secret is buried, the truth has a way of waking up. And when it does, it changes everything.